Hello and welcome to Western Herald Headlined, where we take the top stories from the Western Herald every week and give you a little bit of a deeper dive into what's going on. Today, I am joined by some very important members of the Western Herald. Introduce yourselves.
My name is Kayla, and I am the managing editor.
I'm Grace. I'm the news editor.
My name is Eli, and I am the A&E editor.
And I'm Cori. I'm the editor-in-chief. We did something very exciting a couple weeks ago.
You could say.
You can say it. Don't be shy.
We went to New Orleans for the College Media Association's National College Media Convention.
It's a really long name.
Yeah, really
It's
long
quite
title.
the title, but basically the four of us got to go to NOLA, and we want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right.
So should we start with the more academic stuff, or should we start with the more fun stuff? Should we draw people in with the fun stuff, or should we?
I don't care.
I think we save it till the end.
Okay.
Make them watch the episode.
Right. I like to hear that. Yeah, but
Right.
it was definitely an exhausting trip, but it was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Would recommend New Orleans for anyone who is looking to have a good time.
I don't think I've ever laughed so hard for so many days straight. Like,
One thing you're going to learn about the four of us is that we know how to have a good laugh.
We shared one hotel room, the four of us, and it was like a little box. So we were living in each other's pockets for like 5 days.
And it smelled
it smelled
so bad.
it started to smell kind of weird at the end.
Yeah.
No, it started to smell kind of weird like day 2. Like,
But it was rainy and
Yeah, we
like,
did go
humid.
on a whole ghost tour and
We
got
went on an
soaked
adventure
in the rain.
on
Yes.
Halloween, but
The Midwesterners were not prepared for the amount of damp.
For hurricane
That
season.
one.
yeah. No, literally.
do we want to talk about the conference stuff?
Yeah, let's
before
talk
we
about the
Sure, yeah.
All right, fine. So the conference itself was great.
Yeah.
We each went to a bunch of sessions. We like spread our time around. I went to some that were like personally beneficial that talked about like how to pitch stories for freelance
Oh, yeah.
and how to be a better editor. And I thought those were super helpful. And then I went to some that were like organizationally better, to like how to teach your team how to write better headlines, and the amazing and awesome AP style quiz,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
Grace was crushing,
I was
by
so
the way.
close.
They
I
should
was
have
so close to
won.
winning. I don't even remember the question I lost on, which is a little sad. But yeah, it was a really nice experience because it was like a lot of the sessions were like individually beneficial, like the editing one, like as an editor, that's going to be helpful. But then a lot of them were also like the headlines ones. It's like, I'm not that great at writing headlines sometimes. So it's nice to be able to be like, okay, I know how to write better headlines now. And now I can share that with my like staff.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think even like going back to the AP style, the amazing and awesome AP style
that was so fun.
quiz, it was like we were having fun like trying to compete and stuff, but it was also very educational.
Yeah.
Because if you're listening to this or you're watching this and you don't know anything about AP style, just know it's like a 400-page book of rules.
Yeah. It's
And
like,
a lot of them don't make any sense.
It's the journalism dictionary,
like you can't use collided unless the two objects were moving.
which is a question I got wrong, looking directly into the camera. I got the question wrong, and then later we looked it up, and I wasn't wrong. So I just, for the record, should not have been out that early.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's kind of crazy too because the prizes was just like a tin. It was an ice bucket from one of the hotel rooms that was passed around the room,
And people
just
put
people like threw
dumb stuff
whatever
in
they
it.
had in their purse in it. So it's like it wasn't even really worth winning.
yeah, there
There
was
was
like
20
there
bucks
was
in
yeah
there.
there was like $25 in there, but it was also just an assortment of like free mints and pens that
Yeah.
we got from the table. The
People were
booths
also putting in
outside.
like half-used like gift cards. They're like,
Yeah.
I think there's like maybe a couple cents left on there, which was funny.
It
Yeah.
was so funny because we were all from like different states. So I think that
One
the
was like a
person-
Raising Cane's gift card, and it was like
Yeah.
if one of us had won that, we would have been like, "There's no Raising
Yeah, I
Cane's in
think the person that
Kalamazoo."
won was like, I don't know how to use most of these, but
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
And everyone else was like, it's okay. There's like $1 on that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And it's so college student core.
It
honestly.
really was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really great being surrounded by so many other college students.
Yes.
It was.
Like it really felt like we were coming together for something that we could all like mutually benefit from and experience together, and that was really cool because there were college students from all across the country there, and that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, there was also like in like the like lobby kind of area of like where the conference was, like a bunch of student papers like brought their papers, and there was just like tables full of other college newspapers, which was really cool to like look at to see like, okay, what are they doing that we're not doing? Is that something that could work for us? And it was just like a really interesting way to see like different staff dynamics and how like other papers are working in ways that we might not have thought about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was really interesting too to kind of just like I'm not a super like outgoing person that which I talked to a lot of different people from other schools, but when I did, it was really interesting to hear how they felt about their staff, because I always just kind of assumed like I see this amazing newspaper that I've looked up to for so long, like another college, and then I hear them talk about their staff and they're just as nervous as we are. Like they don't feel confident like in the same way we don't feel confident a lot of the time. And so it's just like, okay, so we look up to you, but you also feel like you're losing your mind a little bit. Like that's reassuring in a way that I didn't know I needed to know.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's like sometimes like I think just being a part of like any organization, it's like sometimes it's just like, oh my God, like how are we going to get this done? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Who's going to do it? Like stuff like that, which can be very stressful, but I don't want to say it's good to know that other people are also struggling, but like
misery loves company.
Yeah. And you know what? We love company.
You don't feel so alone.
We do.
And that's something we have in common with misery.
Exactly. And there were other sessions called like editor and grief, how to like push your staff to do better, or how to operate with a difficult staff, which I did not go to because I don't have a difficult staff.
Yay!
But I heard some good things from some of the other EICs, and we had these like cute little badges that said editor-in-chief, so it was like kind of cool that some of them would come up to me and be like, yeah,
you had like a secret signal.
me too. I know what you're going through.
Yeah. It also was really nice because like the conference was like right in the hotel. Like, and there was like there were so many people there that like the hotel that we were in, which is where the conference was, like filled up, and some people had to go to the hotel across the street. Like it was just such a big conference that like they reached capacity.
So cool. And then the advisors were there as well. We brought the assistant director of student media, Glenn Dillon, with us.
Well, more like he brought us.
Yeah.
But
He did. Well, I saw Glenn less than I do in a normal week.
Yeah.
Because our office is in the student center right next to each other, and I spend a lot of time with Glenn. But he was like, all right, guys, go have fun. And
he's like, if you need
I'll
me,
see
call
you
me.
in a couple days.
Yeah.
Like, we saw him like maybe twice.
Yeah, we saw him when we drove from the airport to the hotel. And when we drove from the hotel to the airport. That was the longest period of time we saw him.
And we'd run into him every once in a while, but like that
Or
was
who we
pretty much-
thought was him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
The
Cori
amount-
can't tell the difference between bald people, so.
Okay, the amount of bald like student advisors for newspapers is crazy. Like,
Truly a shocking demographic.
seriously, everywhere we turned, we were like, Glenn?
Which,
No, not
funny
him.
story, and I'm allowed to tell this because this is a fun podcast week, is that Cori looks at me and she goes, how did you know that was Glenn? I say, well, it's Glenn. And she goes, how do you tell the difference between your dad, side note, my dad's bald, and other bald men? I go, Cori, he's my dad. I lived with him for 18 years. That is how I know the difference between him and other bald people, so...
I feel like I look at Glenn every day, though, and I was still like, oh, nope, that's not you. Like,
No,
Well, I
get it.
am.
my bad.
I am like his DNA is like half of my DNA.
Yeah, it's
So
not like
like
you,
I
like, live
fear
with
it's
Glenn.
like also like a biological thing where I'm like that is my father. So
I mean, that makes sense. You guys were doing it too. It wasn't just me.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just you, but I don't have a bald man in my life.
you have Glenn.
Well, I have Glenn.
Yeah.
But like not my father.
Yeah.
So I understand the
God, yeah.
confusion.
Saw a picture of my dad the other day with hair, and I was like, ugh. Because he started balding when I was like 4. So.
I've been trying to find a picture of Glenn with hair for
Anyway,
years.
so
A good, yeah,
Yeah,
good
good
the
idea.
other
Eli.
really cool thing about the conference was that it involved all aspects of journalism, which was really cool. So I got to attend a lot. I'm a film major, and so I got to attend a lot of media journalism events. So there was like how to make a documentary. Like me and Grace went to like up behind the scenes of a true crime documentary sessions. But it was really cool to involve all aspects of journalism, because we kind of live within our roles. We kind of tend to live within our own little bubbles. So like me and Grace live in our little news and
Writing
A&E
bubbles,
bubble,
yeah.
writing bubbles. And Kayla tends to live in her little like
Layout
editing
bubble.
layout bubble. But it was really cool to get involved in those other aspects of journalism, especially those ones that are going to be important to our careers down the road.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool thing to experience because I wasn't expecting that, I think, when I first heard about the conference.
There was like a really like large range of like writing and editing and layout and sports writing, sports layouts. Like there was just like a lot of like just so much stuff that you can bring back to your staff, which could be beneficial in ways that you might not have thought about before.
Yeah, like me and Kayla went to a like a shooting and low light photography session, and that one was really cool. So there was just every single aspect of journalism you could think of.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
the keynote speakers were
The keynote speakers were
awesome.
incredible. I can't remember their names right now.
I know
but
there's a photographer, an investigative reporter who did like a lot of crime stuff, and like
he was really cool.
He was really interesting.
such cool people to like be in the same room as.
Yeah.
like,
just to be in like the same like group as like-minded people that like
Yeah.
also like are interested in this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
the CMA like really showed up for us. I've been
Yeah,
to
for sure.
conferences before, and it's just like this is the one to beat. And
Absolutely.
I think we all wrote letters to Glenn after kind of like talking about our experiences, and I was like, the next generation of Western Herald members has to go to this.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah.
for sure.
For sure.
It's like I was like, not that I was worried about writing that letter, but I was like, how am I gonna like talk about it like before we went? I was like, how am I gonna like
Right.
write a page
So
about
easy.
this conference? And I was just like writing, and I was like, in like 10 minutes, I was like, oh my god, I have a full page already. Like, it was just such like a crazy experience, like in a good way, not like crazy insane, but
It wasn't it wasn't an experience.
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like super like incredible
Yeah.
to be a part of.
But they also gave us some great free time. We were done at like 4 p.m. every day.
Yeah,
and
so then we
like,
got to
we were just in New Orleans, and none
Yeah.
of us had ever been there before.
right
We
on
got to
Canal
do
Street,
some
like
very cool stuff
in the heart of like downtown New Orleans, the French Quarter. It was so cool.
Oh, for sure.
We'll have a vlog coming out, I think the day after this podcast, sometime that week, of like everything that we did in New Orleans. And you'll definitely want to check that out because we got to see so much of the city, and it was such a cool experience. And it was great. We tried a lot of coffee. We drank
So
a lot
much
of I think it was like
I wouldn't even say we tried a lot of coffee. We went to one coffee shop every single day. Shout out French Truck Coffee. We love
So
you.
good.
Did we say that I drank like 13 cups of coffee?
Terrifying.
I
while
think
we
we
were there?
stopped counting the day before we left, so it probably is more.
Yeah. I drank a lot of coffee though.
Yeah.
It was like almost a scary amount.
We were there for 4 days?
4 days.
4
4
days.
days, 3
Elliot
nights.
had 13 coffees, so that averages like 4 a day.
Yeah, 3 to 4.
Every
a day.
2 hours, I'd be like, Kayla, I need to go get a coffee.
And I'd be like, slay.
yeah.
it started before we got on the plane. Like,
Yeah.
we were like, we have to go to Dunkin'.
We had a 7 a.m. flight, and we woke up an extra hour early so that all 4 of us could go to Dunkin' Donuts. Like,
And Eli had coffee on the plane. I sat next to
Yeah,
Eli.
2 hours later, I was on the plane, and the flight
I get a
attendant was like, "Can I get a coffee?" And Grace just looks over at me and
And
was
I was
like,
like,
Crazy.
right.
Okay, so other fun stuff we did. What was our favorite moments?
Elliot mentioned the vlog, which this is something you won't see in the vlog. So this is a podcast YouTube exclusive story
Right.
about, and there's a reason he didn't film any of this, is because we were drenched.
"I had my camera with me, but thank God it stayed on the bus because
So we decided on Wednesday. Side note: Halloween was Thursday, right? We
Yeah,
decided
so we were
on
in New Orleans
we were-
Halloween weekend.
which is crazy. And we decided we wanted to do something special for Halloween. Does anyone want to pick up the story from there?
I'll go. We decided, because if you don't know the history of New Orleans, there's like a lot of like ghost stories, haunted buildings. Like that's kind of like, especially around Halloween, like that's very New Orleans. So I was like, guys, let's go on a ghost tour. Like, let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's just do something fun on Halloween. So we found a ghost tour that was like, it was like a bus, and like they would like drive around all these different cemeteries, and like tell stories. So we like walk to this like restaurant, and it's weird because like the like place to like get on the bus was outside of the restaurant. It was very weird.
We got on. We were like, we're being kidnapped.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of like Gen X drunk mothers got
Yeah.
on the bus with us. We were like, never mind, we're fine.
Yeah.
Like,
My
we're all
glowing
good.
headdresses,
Yeah.
Halloween costumes
Oh, yeah.
galore.
They
Like-
were so
like
they were
girls
more
trip.
excited than we were.
Ba-
I talked to
Bachelorette
my mom
party.
before we went. She was like, "So what are you doing tonight?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get on like a unmarked white into an unmarked white van with a bunch of strangers."
And
it
I
was
think
not. It was very safe.
I think it's also notable that Wait, where was I going? Sorry, guys. No, keep telling the story, Grace.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll come back to me.
But so then we get on the bus, and the wonderful tour guide, his name was Jeff. We love Jeff.
Geoff. I needed to say the spelling.
Right?
Yeah, that's important.
He talked about how he was a funeral director for a really long time, and then he was like a hotel concierge, and then he had been doing this for the past like 5-6 years.
Yeah.
So the first cemetery we went to, it was called the Oddfellow Cemetery, and basically it's like that cemetery is like private. Like you can only get in if you're like a member of the Oddfellows or if like your family member's in there, and like you have to make an appointment to go visit, and like somebody from the cemetery like opens the gate, walks you to like the grave that you're trying to see, and then they walk you back out. It's very like
very private.
Yes. So Jeff is an Oddfellow, and like he has a plot where he will be buried.
So cool.
And so we got to go into this like super private cemetery at night. Like he was our guide. It was really great, and it was really cool to see like, because in Louisiana, I don't know if it's New Orleans specifically, but they do all above ground burials pretty much, just because it's like of the hurricanes, like the flood zone. And so it was cool to see that, because you don't see that type of burial in Michigan or
we're standing like there's just walls that are the plots,
And like the walls around the cemetery are plots too.
Yeah,
so
they're like mausoleum plots. So it's like the
cool.
walls are like 8 feet thick, so that it can like fit a coffin in there.
And it doesn't even look like it's 8 feet
No.
thick. Like
Yeah. But then while we were in that cemetery, that was the first cemetery we visited out of 3. And then
Yeah.
while we were in that cemetery, it started pouring rain.
It didn't
crazy.
start pouring. At first, it was just a light
And then
rain.
Jeff
And Jeff
Jeff
goes,
was like, "Don't worry about it, guys.
it'll pass.
It's gonna be fine. It
did
rains
not
all the
pass.
And
time
then
here.
it started. If you want to check out, we made a TikTok about it, where you can see us before and after the ghost tour, and
Yeah.
we were just drenched.
It was so.
I had to.
And you know what? We'll have you put the TikTok in the vlog.
Okay. Yeah.
Or like I'll send you the clips or whatever, and you can
I
do
can put
whatever
it
you
in the
want with
bloopers.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wearing a skirt. I have my Halloween skirt, and I was wearing my Halloween skirt, and I was wringing it out because it was just like, it had to have been at least like 5 to 7 pounds,
Oh my
just
gosh.
full of water.
Yeah.
I could see better with my glasses off.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Like,
that says a
it
lot
was
because
so
Cori does not have good eyesight.
Guys, the shirt that I was wearing, I don't know if I told you guys, the shirt that I was wearing to the cemetery, it still smells. It's gone through the
Wonderful.
wash twice now, and it still smells like cemetery rain.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing that I think that's funniest is like we smelled like cemetery. Our hotel room, we mentioned earlier, it smelled like hotel rain in that hotel
It
room.
was crazy.
Yeah, because we're not super smart
We're
sometimes.
not crazy smart.
We took all of our wet clothes, and we were like, oh my God, we have to leave these out to dry, right? Well, not all of us. Me, Kayla, and Eli. We took our clothes.
No,
And
Eli didn't take his clothes. He left them on the floor of the hotel room.
we
me
kept
and
stepping on
Kayla
each
took
other's
our
wet
clothes, and we're like, oh, we'll hang them up in the closet, because like the hotels have a closet with hangers, right? So we hung them up in the closet, and then proceeded to shut the closet doors, lock them in. So then when
And
we
forget
opened,
about them for 3 days.
yeah. So then when we open the closet the night before we leave to like pack our clothes, we open up the closet, and
It's just rank.
so bad.
It
so
smells
damp.
so bad.
Don't leave wet clothes in a dark, damp, cool place. Yeah.
I didn't realize I had to editor-in-chief and parent, but
Well,
just kidding.
you should have expected that.
Yeah. As the oldest one
I
of the four
did
of
not
us.
put my clothes in the closet, so they actually dried.
Yeah, and then
They
there
smell
was
fine
every
now.
single day after that was just everybody stepping on my my wet binder. It was like a ritual every morning.
Yeah.
It's
Everybody
like, oh,
stepping on
good
my
morning,
wet.
It's like,
everybody.
oh, my foot is soggy. I am soggy.
Good morning,
now.
wet binder.
Yeah.
What did we do? Because that was like the first day, right?
Wait,
No,
I'm
that
not
was
done with the
Thursday.
cemetery tour.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say, like, Jeff was very lovely, and
Oh,
he was
yes,
like,
like
if
incredible.
anybody wants to go back to the bus, you can.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And we were like,
He did not hold us hostage out there.
We
He
have
walked.
come this far.
He as soon as the skies like opened up and it really started raining, he took a group back to the bus.
And he
Yeah.
was like, anybody that wants to is welcome to join us. And we were like,
We're
no.
already
We're like, we're already
soaking
soaking wet.
We might as well stay in the cemetery.
For the plot.
And it was so much fun.
And I think we kind of all assumed a little bit that it would kind of stop.
It
and
didn't.
It didn't. It got worse. Which I think was really fun.
Which made it better.
But it's just like memories. It's like
it is.
It's like it was fun either way. Like if it did rain or it didn't rain, it would have been a fun experience because
Yeah.
like Jeff was really cool. The cemeteries were awesome to like go and explore. But like just the fact that happened.
But
it
like,
was
would
just,
we be laughing about it
Yeah,
weeks later if it hadn't been pouring rain?
Exactly.
You know.
Well, and I remembered what I wanted to say earlier when I completely lost my mind. I wanted to note too that we did a lot of research before we decided to go on the cemetery tour, and
That's
we found
what I
a
wanted
bunch
to
of
get to.
cemetery tours that in the descriptions just seemed super unethical and like kind of
Invasive.
of the
They
cemeteries.
were novelty and
Yeah,
like
they-
more like, ooh, it's spooky.
like, oh, this
and,
is
like,
scary, and not
there's
like respecting that
ghosts,
like there's
but-
people's families there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think one of them we looked at like went like to which we went to the Hurricane Katrina Memorial, but this other group that we found online also did, and it like told spooky stories about them. Or
Yeah,
something
about
like
like the
that.
people that were like
The
unidentified.
unidentified like bodies from Hurricane Katrina, and it was like we did a lot of research before we went on that tour to make sure that what we were doing wasn't something that was disrespectful to the families of
Yes.
those that
And Jeff was very like he made it very clear that like these are people's families, like these are loved ones, and like
Yes.
they need to be respected, and like this isn't a time to like goof off, or like he was very respectful about it.
And though it was a ghost tour, it wasn't the type of ghost tour that was like, this is where the most paranormal activity happens over here. It was more of like, if you happen to capture something, let's talk about it. But also, let's learn about New Orleans history. And
It
Yeah.
was
all
very
that kind of stuff.
historical, and I
Yes.
really liked that because we had never been to New Orleans before. So I think that I gained a lot more learning about the history and the culture of New Orleans than I
Yeah.
would have.
yeah, because you learned a
hearing
lot
spooky
about
stories.
like those like above ground burial styles and
Yeah.
like the different burial styles that they have, which is like I think that's really cool
Yeah.
and just like fascinating to learn about, even more so than like the scare factor.
Yeah, and we did go for Halloween, but I think we walked away just like learning more history, having had a good time, like,
And that was
I
like a
think-
cool experience.
Also,
Yeah.
the downpour made it significantly less scary.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. We did not see any ghosts. We saw
they
nothing.
were
They taking cover.
Yeah.
Unlike us. So
They went back to the bus.
they went back to the bus, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're good to move on. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
like, that was probably the craziest thing that we did.
Oh,
and It's
yeah.
like, we're bonded for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
And
that and the
then-
whole trip. But what else did we do?
On the Saturday, which like the Saturday was like the last day that we had. Like we had 2 sessions in the morning, and then after, so right in front of our hotel there's like the like trolley car, and so we took it out to the French Market, which was like such a cool place. Like there was just so
was
many
beautiful.
like
It
was
vendors,
amazing.
and like it was basically like a big like craft show, and there was like food. So we took the car out there. We got some like, I know we got some really cool art prints, and like we got crepes, were really good.
I had the
Okay.
best crepe of my entire
Yeah.
I
life.
know. It was amazing.
And then we got on the trolley and we took it all the way to the other end of like the last stop, and we went to the New Orleans Art Museum, the NOMA. And I'm an art major, so that was like the coolest thing for me. Like I just walk around and I'm just like jaw dropped at everything.
It was so cute. You were so
Yeah,
starstruck.
Kayla and I are photographers, and we had our cameras with us, and we were getting candid shots. And I have so many photos of Grace. Not all of these made these to the final cut, but I have so many photos of Grace being like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
just like nose to the glass.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I have like before, like I went to New York a couple like years ago, and we went to the MoMA, and I kept setting off the alarms that because like they have little alarms in front of the paintings, and I would set them off because I would lean over them.
And boy, does it pay for us to be friends with photographers or to like
Oh my
go
God, yeah.
on a trip with photographers.
My
We got-
Instagram is so
Grace and I
good
got some
right now.
great pictures of us thanks to Kayla
Yes, thanks to
and
these
Eli.
two.
Like, oh,
What can I
I didn't even
say?
have to pull my phone out
Just-
once,
you
and I
guys
have
made
it
easy. You're so
fantastic pictures.
beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
But
And then they were setting up for a wedding after,
That was really
which was really
cool.
cool. Like, could you imagine getting married in an art
we
museum?
looked up how much it cost to get married in the NOMA, and we were because we were just so curious because
Yeah.
it was so cool.
It was wild.
Yeah,
That's Grace's.
dream
My
wedding
dream.
right there.
my dream.
We're going back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we're gonna
would.
make this a yearly occurrence.
Yeah.
now.
No, once because this is Cori and I's last year at Western, but we're gonna come back.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are.
For just
Don't
for
cry yet. We have a semester in some weeks.
Don't cry
Yeah.
because it's over. Smile because it happened.
Oh gosh.
Oh, I'm gonna be crying.
Okay,
But-
back to the crepes. What other awesome, like we had lots of
Oh my
coffee.
God, we had so much food.
Crepes were so good.
Shout out Zesty Creole.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Shout out Zesty
Literally
We went to
the
Zesty
best.
Creole twice.
We went to Zesty Creole 2 nights in a row because I went to New Orleans and I was like, I want Creole food. Like that's like my
Yeah.
one thing. And so it was Friday night, I think we went. Yeah, because we went Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah.
We went Friday night and we got our food, and it was literally the most incredible food I've ever had.
So good.
And like, it's such just like, I don't want to say it's like a hole in the wall because it is right on Canal Street.
And
but
the inside is really nice, but you wouldn't guess it from the outside.
That's
yeah,
how
from
you
the
know it's
outside,
gonna
it's just
be
like,
good.
Yeah.
it's just like very like, it's not something that you'd be like, oh, that looks cool, let's go there. But go there. It's
like,
so
it
good.
doesn't look trendy, but it tastes trendy, you know?
Oh my God, their biscuits.
It was so good. We went twice.
Yes.
Like we were like, we have to try like a variety of food. Like we're gonna go out to a bunch of different places. We went to Zesty Grill one night. We were like, we are
coming back.
We're coming back.
I remember the next day when we were trying to figure out where we wanted to go for dinner. I was like, guys, what if we just went to Zesty Grill again?
Like I have been thinking about that.
All four of us were like, yeah.
Because all four of us were like, yeah, that's what I was wanting, but I didn't want to like be that guy.
You said what we were all thinking.
We were on the trolley like, but what if we went to Zesty Grill again?
And also, shout out to the hostess who worked there, because
so beautiful.
Somehow the restaurant was packed both nights that we went. It was a Friday and a Saturday, and yet we got in within 15 minutes both times. And she was just like on top of it.
And on the second night, there was a car getting towed out front, and she like quieted down the whole restaurant. She's
like we were a kindergarten class.
Yeah, she was like, hey, like she did like the 1, 2, 3 eyes on me thing.
Yeah.
And she went, if you have like this car, I don't remember what car it was. If you have this car, it's getting towed out front. So if you don't want to pay $450, go. And that was like such a nice thing to do.
nice.
Like I was like, she owns this place.
Yeah.
Like she is on top of it. So
She was awesome.
shout out to her.
She also like learned our names. That was
Yeah.
We were on our way. She was like, "Bye, Elliot," and I was like,
Thanks, Queen.
That was really
But it was
cool.
just such a fun experience.
It
And
was.
like,
And also shout out to Cafe Beignet,
Oh my gosh, the beignets.
which is arguably
about that.
better than Cafe du Monde.
well,
So-
we don't know because
but
we
like
never had
du
Cafe
Monde,
du
the
Monde.
only reason I argued that is because Cafe du Monde's like menu was a lot smaller.
That's very true.
And I'm sure they're both tourist traps.
and it was cash only, so we didn't go.
Yeah.
But
We started and ended our trip with Cafe Beignet.
And, it was
and
good
we
both times.
"Incredible."
ordered way too many beignets both times. We all got an
If
order
you'd
of
like to
beignets
find
the
out who
first
ate
time,
Kayla's
and that was like,
beignets.
Yeah.
Go to the
Check
Western
out our
Herald
TikTok to see who ate my beignets.
we still don't know.
There's
Yeah.
a TikTok
Right, we'll
trend
never
where
know.
it's like who like it was like,
Like,
all,
guys,
all
fess
three of
up.
us being like great Cori, me, and Grace being like, who ate my beignets? And then it pans over to Eli and his face is just covered in
We
powdered
were making
sugar.
that TikTok, and the women at the table next to us were laughing at me.
Oh my God, you're making that
And
TikTok.
Kayla turns to them and goes, "No, he just really likes beignets." And you know what?
I
I
stand
didn't
by
call
that.
him out like that.
And you know
stand
what?
by
You were
that.
right.
Yeah.
I love beignets.
Yeah.
I've thought about beignets every single day since we came back. My roommates didn't know what a beignet was.
Really?
Oh my
I know. I
gosh.
went back. I was telling them about my trip, and I was like, "And the beignets were incredible." And they were like, "The what now?" And I was like, "Well, now we have to go.
They're so good.
Pack up your stuff."
Pack up your stuff. We're
Yep.
getting in the car. We're driving.
But yeah, it was just such a good, like, overall, just to like wrap
Yeah.
It
our
was so fun.
things up. It was
It
such a fun
was.
experience. Like, when I like started working for Western Herald, never did I think that I would get to go to New Orleans
Yeah.
with like 3 amazing people and like have just like the time of my life.
Never did I
when-
think that I was going to be standing in the pouring rain in New Orleans
That
in a s-
either.
in a private cemetery in the middle of the night on Halloween when I
Yeah.
joined the Western Herald.
I don't think anybody ever thinks that's gonna happen at any point in their
You know what?
life.
I predicted it. I predicted
Did
it.
you really?
I saw it coming.
You were like, yeah.
I said I gotta join this club.
Well,
join this newspaper.
I'm so glad that I got to bring all 3 of you, and I like. It was just such an awesome experience, and I hope that the next group of Western Herald people gets to do something like that. I don't know where it will be next year, but I'm sure it'll be great because like CMA really
Really shut
they
up
gave
for
us a
Yeah.
great conference, and like that I couldn't have asked for a better experience. So
Absolutely.
Thank you, Cori.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for tuning in to Western Herald Headlines. We will see you next week back to our normally scheduled programming.
bye.
Bye.